A very fractalicious welcome again. It's been a while. Some life things happened and have been busy, so sometimes there'll just be a gap in these tutorials. But today I wanted to talk about immersive exhibits, and I want to do that by dividing it in two chapters. So first I want to take you to two immersive exhibits, one in Amsterdam and one in Houston, Texas. That I've recently installed. I'll just take you through them so you can just have a little idea of what it looks like, and then I will talk a little bit about the more technical aspects, especially with these immersive exhibits. How do you get the camera angles correctly from Mandelbrot 3D into these spaces so that they align and match up with the wall and the floors? But yeah, let's first go to Houston. So welcome to Houston, Texas. I'm in the United States right now. I just finished setting up this new experience, this new exhibition called Fractal Worlds. It's in Artec House, and I will show you around a little bit. Got the fisheye lens to sort of get that immersive experience as good as I can, because it's not always easy to communicate what it's like to stand in the middle of this immersive exhibit with a regular camera. And I'm hoping to use this as well a little bit to do more of the tutorials showing how to, like what I'm doing when I'm creating these immersive experiences, right? So I'm showing you this one, I'm showing you Atelier de Lumière or Fabrique de Lumière in Amsterdam. Hopefully between those things, this gives a good picture of what it's like and what the possibilities are, because it's like amazing to have, you know, this kind of playground with all these like projectors like all around. If you're watching this in 2025 or early 2026, you can, and you're in the Houston neighborhood, obviously, you can go check it out. It's here at 6th Street and, well, something. It's in the Heights, like Houston Heights neighborhood. Really nice place, I guess. And it's the biggest Artec house I've done so far. So let's have a look. So yeah, thank you for joining me here at Artec House in Houston. So hi, I'm standing here in front of Fabrique de Lumière, where my exhibit for nature is playing. So let's get inside and have a look. Okay, so as you can probably imagine, it's a pretty big building, and there's a lot of stuff that comes into play when creating an exhibit for this. And For Nature was actually originally made for the next museum and was later adapted to fit this space on the several walls and all these types of things. So yeah, I want to really take you to check out all the things that you should think about when creating something like this for a space like this. Okay, so now that you've seen these spaces, we will go to the technical aspect, and we're going to go into tutorial mode in just a second. But I think it's important to understand one thing, and I think this is maybe the most common mistake that you see people make when they render content for the first time for an immersive exhibit. And that is that they think it's just a bigger screen, which it really is, of course. But there is a big thing that you have to really consider when you are rendering content, any kind of content, for large spaces. And that is that there's this general rule of thumb that the larger the space is, the slower your content should be. When you're looking on your phone or even on a regular computer monitor, your eye pretty quickly gets bored, and you are used to fast motion and fast cuts from all sorts of media, YouTube, film, anything. So now when you blow this stuff up to a size that is larger than a cinema screen, or even closer than a cinema screen, it's just different. This is something you have to experiment with, but your eyes have way more to see, so it takes longer taking that all in. Slower movement, slower content works really well for large spaces, and it will not feel slow. So when you're previewing this on your computer monitor, you'll go it's kind of boring, I want to maybe speed it up a bit. But then when you're standing there and you've sped it up, it's way too fast. And it's not even about people becoming dizzy or something, or nauseous, which is definitely also a thing, but it's also just the fact that you're sort of disconnecting when it's too fast. Even frame rates, if your projection system is only 30 FPS or something, 30 frames per second, that looks fine on a small monitor. Blowing it up to a huge monitor, it will suddenly really seem jerky, and you're not seeing the motion. So slow your content down, take more time, longer edits. That is really something that is just my #1 rule for immersive filmmaking. So yeah, let's just go into tutorial mode and look at how we take the Mandelbulb scene and sort of fold it into the rooms like the one that you just saw in Artec House, Houston. All right, so here we are in 3D Studio Max, just showing you how a setup would look like from an immersive space. This one is particularly Bassin de Lumière in Bordeaux, which does only have 4 walls but no floor projection. I don't have the actual projected image here, so at this moment you're only seeing 1 wall. But I just want to show how this is let me actually full screen this, right? How you would sort of set this up, and I also use this maybe to create some preview images for people to sort of understand what that would look like. But let's sort of simplify this. I'm going to open a new scene. How does that usually go? Reset, don't save. You really want to reset or whatever. I always do that in 3D Studio Max. Obviously, this is 3ds Max. I just used to using that. This would be the same in Blender, Cinema 4D, Maya, or Unreal Engine, or any 3D software. Okay, let's start with a simple immersive space that might just be a box. Here we go. There we have the box. So this has been so long, I'm not using this anymore, but there's this way to, anyway, let's just, yeah. Let's see it like this. No, what is this? Yeah, like that. The box. So there would be an imaginary point in the center of the box, which let's just put a little sphere. Oh, it should be right here, and then it should be right in the. Okay, this is a bit of an annoying color because you can't really see it if it's not selected, so I'll make it green. So there is like this point. I can also just use the origin of the, but whatever. There's a point in the center of the box. And this could be a room. It doesn't have like, you know, like one wall's wider than the other two walls, and the ceiling is usually less high. Sometimes it might be higher. So here we have it like this, and what I'm sort of trying to do is I will get a virtual camera. Let's find a free camera and put it right where the center is. Now for the front wall, which would be this wall, I mean, I'm sort of hoping that you understand. We're looking at a top viewport here, then front, and then this is the left, and then we have a perspective viewport here. So the idea would be to have the camera from the center filling out exactly the side wall, right? So let's have, we have ranges. So we can, is that range what we're seeing here? It isn't. Like the frustrum of the camera. Target distance, exactly. So we can move that to here. Then we have to change the field of view. Here we see that the aspect ratio is wrong. The aspect ratio actually in 3ds Max would be your render aspect ratio. So we can change that, perhaps. Oh, it's keeping this the same. Why is it doing that? Custom. But we're not seeing anything move here. Oh yeah, we are now. That's annoying. Why doesn't it do that straight away? So the width must be a lot more than the height. It's sort of like that. Field of view. Well, you can imagine that this type of thing is what we're rendering in Mandelbulb. Now, when you then project that onto the actual wall, it should match with a camera that you would. Let's have a second camera that's pointing straight down. All right, let's do this a bit better. This is angle, snap, toggle. Yep, now we can have perfect 90-degree copy. So this one would have a different aspect ratio. For some reason, these cameras weren't actually in the center. Okay, that's annoying. What the hell? Come on. Here, this should be in the center. The camera facing down would have both a different field of view and a different aspect ratio. Yeah, the target distance. So that, as you can probably see here, like between this camera, the target distance has changed. Let me just do that. And let's just focus only on this side here. The bottom one has a super wide field of view. Here we go, 160 degrees. And then this camera has a 100 degrees field of view. Now this is actually the horizontal field of view, but we're actually looking at the vertical here. But you can see how that is different. Now the idea would be to do an exact calculation of that. And you can do that using very simple cosinus and tangent and these types of things with corners. And then to take that and take those exact things into Mandelbulb. So imagine if this field of view here is 100 degrees. Let's go to Mandelbulb. Let's get some funny, amazing box, and then maybe like a J cube type of thing. Is that interesting? Maybe. Yeah, it's actually nice. Okay. I really want to sort of get like an architectural space that we can do this little experiment in. So we're going inside, right? And yeah, we need more. So we've got stuff up there. That's not good enough. Maybe in here. I'm really looking for like a room. Here's a room. Okay, we don't really have something above us, but that's okay. We've got stuff below us. All right. So imagine that this is like a cool fractal that either has a moving camera or maybe like this thing is like animated. That doesn't seem to do much. Oh, that's too much. Okay, well, you'd need lower level animation stuff. But for now, let's think of it as a still. View domain, let me just render this a little higher res. Obviously, all my render settings are completely wrong. This is like the default stuff. Sometimes for something like this, you'd want, especially if you have, this is maybe not the best example, but you want the camera to sort of be oriented in like world space. A way to do that easily is to go here in rotation, and then we see, I've sort of, let me actually show coordinates. You can see the coordinate system here. I've already aligned it pretty well, as you can see. View domain, but it's never, and then here you have the Euler angles, which is minus 92, minus 1, minus 96. If I just sort of go to the nearest, normal value here, so minus 90 exactly, minus 1 would just be 0, and minus 96 would be minus 90. Apply the image, and then it will just clunk, it will orient, and now we're just looking straight ahead. So imagine that the aspect ratio of the wall, or the resolution of the front wall, was, let's say, it would be something like 2200 by 960, whatever it is. So we've got this, yeah, that was already there. So we're looking at 2200 by 960. That would be a pretty wide aspect ratio like that. And then we would have calculated the field of view. We could do the calculation. It's just a bit annoying, but it would be important if you were to do this. So let's actually do it. Okay, so we're going to the side view of 3ds Max. This is the side view, and imagine that I'm drawing the wall here. This is the front wall from the side view, yeah. And then we have the floor, which is much longer. Our imaginary point would be about here. Exactly half the size of the wall and half the size of this. Now this was 900 pixels, so let's just call it 9 foot. I mean, I would do 9 meters, but 9 meters would be crazy long. So this is like 9 foot, and then the other dimension would be 22 foot, but that's the dimension we're not drawing. And let's imagine that this here is 17 foot, whatever it is, 17 foot. So we have, that's the bottom floor. That's how long, that's how big the floor is. So that would be from, like, this is the side view that we're looking at. So this would be 9, and this is 17 foot meters, whatever you want. Now, you need, so Mandelbrot works in the Y. So the field of view for Mandelbrot is the Y, not the X. So if you have, if this is your image, and this is X, and this is Y, then the angle from here to here is what you're typing in. That's why it where the hell is the field of view? Here it says FOV Y. I don't know why, but that's what it is. So we have this angle to calculate. This is the angle that we need to know. And we need to know that for a point where we know that this is 9 and this is the half of 17, I guess. And then we're looking at basically something that we learned in, is that like trigonometry, whatever. I always need to like draw this out every single time I do this because I don't have the formula by hand, but if you can reason yourself into it, it's probably better anyway. Right, so this angle here, you would take half that angle and then just double it, and it would be the same as so you would just need this number, which is half of 17, and this number, which is half of 9. So we can just take 9 and 17, because that would be the same as taking half of both. And then just double the, so I know this in Dutch, like SOS Castoa, I guess. I don't know if that's also an English thing. Probably not, because, yeah, it wouldn't be. You would need, so you have this angle, and then this is the, you don't know the, so you know the overstaande, de aanliggende, Castoa. So that's the tangent, right? So you need overstaand, aanliggend. Yes, so 9 divided by 17 and then the tangent. Am I doing that right? 9 divided by 17. And then we take the inverse tangent of that. Which is 27.89, and then we times it by 2, and we get 55.79. So the Y here is 55.79. Yeah, my drawing is a bit wrong, but that sort of feels like that could be like a totally reasonable Y. So then I go here. We already have these coordinates correct, and we say 55.79, and we render that, and then we have the correct view for the front wall. Now let's do the same for the bottom wall, and let's have a look. Well, let's do the same thing here. So this is a bit annoying, but I guess that this angle, I mean, that would be the like inverse thing, right? So you would have, wouldn't you just have, 17 divided by 9 instead of 9 divided by 17. That would make sense. So 17 divided by 9 is this, and then we take the inverse tangent of that, times it by 2, and we have 124. Yeah, 124. Oh, what the hell am I doing here? Okay, so this Y is 124.2. All right. Let's save this picture as a JPEG. Fine. Front wall. Boom. Okay. Now the heights. Oh wait, this is 9. Actually, this would have been 900. 900. made a mistake. Let's go. Let's render that. Okay, great. Front wall, yes. Now we turn the height into 1700. The width would be the same. And now our camera has 124.2. 124.2. And we do something else, and that is that we have a look and rolling angles at 45. If I press this button twice, we're going to look twice 45 degrees down, which is 90 degrees, clunk and clunk. And we can see here in our little coordinate system that that is correct, right? View domain, calculate. Okay, now we have this one here. We save this picture. We call this whatever, ground. I usually don't use these terms, but okay. And let's have a look. Okay, so this is the front wall, and then this is the ground. Now what should happen if we did this correct, and we, I already see there's a big problem, and I know what that problem is, I'll talk about it in a minute, is that these line up perfectly. This is the bottom of the floor, and that should line up with the top of the floor, or obviously I'm referring to like this little point, like this edge here. Now, why don't they line up perfectly? Because I can see like this feature right here is the same as this feature right here. And so I'm looking at it double, which is wrong, which is bad. And I'm seeing this thing here and this thing here. Now this is because of a stupid thing in Mandelbulb 3D, that when you actually rotate, you don't rotate on your own axis like this. You rotate in front of a point that's in front of you. The way to fix that, and then we're going back. Let's just go back to. Let's go back up. So we're looking up, blum, blum. And then the old, yeah, 55.79, 55.79, view to main, and then this would be, the height is 900, okay. This is back the original thing. I still see those two things here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to do fix, zoom, and steps, and I'm going to zoom here until, and then I have to change the far plane further back until I barely see a difference anymore. So when I first started doing that, let's go back, I saw huge differences. We're moving inward, if you can tell. Bum, 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 bum. Now, if I do it after a while, we're getting closer and closer to that rotation point that's in front of the camera. This is just an annoying thing from Mandelbulb, but if we dealt with it, then we're good. So render this. Let's save that as front B. Okay. Now we're doing the same thing. We're changing the height to 1700. We are going here. We're changing the FOV to 124.2. 124.2. And we are moving down and down. View to main. Boom. And render. Save, and this is floor B. Okay, here we go. So we have front B and then floor B. Now we should have, fingers crossed, fixed that issue, and these two should align pretty good. And we could try this in Photoshop or Premiere or After Effects, whatever, to actually align them. They obviously need to be the same. But we can probably see that wherever this is leaving the image, it's coming back in here. And this part is here, this little thing. The underneath side of this little box is actually coming into view here. So this looks a little bit stranger to me. Oh wait, I made another bad mistake. This would have worked perfectly if I had put this on rectangular. This is the most important thing that we forgot. Okay, so do it once more. View domain. This is, what did I call it? Floor C. We're doing this again. Now it's 55.79, 55.79. Up, view domain, change the height to 900, calculate, save, and this is front C. Front C and floor C. Here we go. This also makes way more sense. I should have caught it earlier. The edges of such a very stretched out, like very wide field of view usually get really distorted. And that looks bad if you're standing right on it. But if you're actually standing in the middle, then that distortion will shift itself and get more normal. So here you have it. These line up pretty good, pretty perfectly. You've also seen how to fix that annoying thing in Mandelbulb where your rotations aren't exactly on the nodal point of the camera where it should be. Changing that zoom factor in Mandelbulb, and then also adjusting the far plane usually to, and sometimes also things like ambient occlusion. There's a different scale, so you might have to change with the ambient occlusion. These things, they all matter, and that will get you aligned perfectly. And then of course, yeah, you could probably figure out how to do the side walls or the top wall using the same logic, using these this sort of like very basic geometry stuff. And that is how we do immersive. This is a simple version, but still, how we do these immersive environments. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that part of the tutorial. We're going to continue this. I'm definitely going to talk more about domes. Did a really interesting dome project here in the planetarium in Amsterdam recently for Amsterdam Dance Event. It was amazing. So I don't have footage of that, unfortunately, that I can show you like I did today, but we're going to go into domes. We're going to create more immersive content. And yeah, I hope to get these more regular to use soon. So thank you very much for watching, and until next time.